Hello and welcome everyone to today's episode. We got a good one for you today. Welcome to the first of three deep dives into the Ashes of Creation roadmap. What we're going to do is we're going to go phase by phase of Alpha 2 and kind of dissect all the information that we were given in the live stream and really kind of formatted in an easy to consume way. Hopefully there's a lot of information here and I want to cover timelines and expectations and things like that, so let's get into it. So, when we're saying phase 1 of Alpha 2, this is one of three phases that Intrepid is rolling out Alpha 2. One of the biggest things I think from the live stream, a point of contention, was that we found out that Alpha 2 is not a persistent Alpha 2 at the launch, which is, kind of upsetting to some, kind of, demoralizing, and some people say, hey, we called it, or that's what we thought it was going to be, right? Unfortunately, we don't have a quote-unquote persistent live up all the time Alpha 2 server until May of 2025, but don't fret. December of this year, 2024, we will get 5+ days. They said 5+. Normally, they're saying 2 days off or so on is the current plan. So it is almost a true persistent alpha, here in the coming months. But phase 1, what is phase 1? Well, phase 1 is what I would call is the most prepped content for the masses to test and for Intrepid to see if what they've built can stand up to the stresses of multiple people testing. Now, things that we are going to be seeing in phase 1 are a lot of things that we've seen throughout the most recent live streams in the last, let's say, 2 years, right? So races, we are going to get the Vec and the Kalar. They confirmed Vec and Kalar are going to be the two only playable races at the start of Alpha 2. Now, if you go back to my recap of expectations for Alpha 2 video, you will see that this is a miss on my expectations. I fully anticipated having all the races at the start of Alpha 2 for testing. The reason that they do not have all the races at the start of Alpha 2 testing, they said, is because they don't have all the character models modeled to the armor. So one of the information pieces we got was we are going to have 460 unique pieces of gear in phase 1 that is in Alpha 2 already. And their reasoning behind not having all the races is they have not modeled all the races to those 460 pieces of gear. It is what it is. We are going to get the Empyrean race as well at the end, towards the end, or the first major content update within phase 1. Now, we're talking content update. Before we get into the details, when is all of this going to be provided, right? Because one thing we have to remember is each of these phases, there is a starting group of criteria, a starting group of things that we are going to be able to test. And then as the phase goes longer and longer towards the next phase, there are more and more rollouts. So we have to talk about the frequency that Intrepid said that they're going to provide patches or content updates. Now, we know that they're going to do hot fixes and major game-breaking type bugs as needed, right? This will happen in real time as something pops up, so that's an as needed. They are going to do minor patches and minor content updates or provide updates in content every 3 weeks. So this first phase of Alpha 2, phase 1, it lasts from October 25th to December 20th. So what does that tell us, right? We know major bug fixes happening as needed. minor content updates coming every 3 weeks, and major content updates, meaning expansions of biomes, new characters, new weapons, new archetypes, new races. Major updates like that happen every 6 weeks. So we are guaranteed to have at least one major update in Alpha 2 Phase 1. We are guaranteed that one major update. And we're guaranteed at least, I think, 3 minor updates on a 3-week cadence, every 3 weeks. So we do have that to look forward to. And I think our, when they say the Empyrean race is going to be added, that'll be the 6-week content update, that major update. Now, okay, what is it that we have, right? We have 55 plus square kilometers of the western and eastern Aelan Riverlands. So we're getting pretty much the entire Riverlands is what I'm going to get from that, minus a few things here and there maybe. We're getting the Sandsquall Desert and the Vandegar Tropics. So again, this is very similar to my expectations video. I said for sure Riverlands, for sure desert, and I said Badlands as a third biome. We're getting the Vandegar Tropics, which is an asset from Alpha 1, which I'm sure they've addressed and you know, did updates to in the current engine and in the current development, right? So we are getting 3 biomes, which is, again, confirming what I expected in my breakdown of this, right? We're getting 36 points of interest, the day-night cycle. We're getting all seasons, dynamic world populations, dynamic reward tables, 1 grand dungeon, which Steven confirmed to be the Tower of Carfin, so that's our grand dungeon, and then there are 4 pocket dungeons. I'm assuming these are smaller dungeons. We are also getting 5 node locations, 2 level 3, with some systems for level 4. The roads are going to be implemented, 4 service building plots, and 5 default buildings. So, you know, whoever the mayor is going to be able to do some, you know, different things within nodes, because there are 8 active constructed buildings, 5 passive constructed buildings, node currency, citizenship, 56 tax categories, mayorship, obviously, buy orders, 25 player commodities, 24 mail commission types, 36 node resources, and they're varying from T1 to T3 recipes. So, you know, that's really cool. And service building expansion voting. Now, the list I just provided, right, is all encompassing throughout phase 1, but you can expect, since this is the shortest phase, right, and again, this is my opinion, I'm expecting, since phase 1 is the shortest phase, that a majority of what I just read is gonna be at launch, because it needs to be tested and iterated and given feedback on fairly quickly, because then Intrepid is gonna take that and try and implement that in a change before the phase is over. That is their approach, is we enter in a phase, everybody plays through it, there's feedback, there's bugs, there's all of this reported. Intrepid will take all of that information, provide a patch or an update, everyone goes back and tests, and if that passes testing and passes the final you know, kind of quality Q&A type testing, then Intrepid will move to the next phase. Races, like I said, Vec, Kalar, Empyrean. Archetypes, we're getting the Tank, Fighter, Mage, Cleric, Ranger, and Bard. So everything we've seen so far, again, in line with what I thought we would get. Weapons, you can see they're, you know, pretty much what we've talked about. PvP, right? We're getting PvP flagging, the corruption system. We're going to get guild wars. We're getting node wars and caravan PvP event system. Now, the biggest topic here that was new to anyone who was watching the live stream was these zones called lawless zones. And what is a lawless zone? Well, Steven, during the live stream, explained to everyone that a lawless zone is an area that you're auto-flagged for PvP, number one, right? There is no, you know, you can't do PvP. These are PvP zones with some of the most unique and challenging monsters, I think is what he said, and some of the most unique gear that you can get. Again, this is an area that we've never really known about, and the way he explained this is from a lore perspective. We have to think that we're the first arriving group of people on Vera after, this big event that occurred. The governments and the laws of the lands, as you go further and further away from the center of this new civilization on Vera, these laws and these protections don't really stretch that far out, right? Which is cool, because I think it gives the lore some life, which is hard to do sometimes in games, right? There's people who love lore, there's people who don't. Kind of encapsulates you into the story of Vera, right? At this point where, right, we've settled the civilization. As we explore, it's kind of the wild west out there, right? And then Steven clarified in Discord or somewhere that I saw, is these lawless zones are a mirror of what the open seas will be like at launch. So they've implemented these lawless zones in Alpha 2 to test the system of the open seas. The game launches, I do not think that these lawless zones per se will be as you explore out, right? Let's say you spawn into the Riverlands, the Kalar, Divine Gate, and you go and explore, and you are auto-flagged in a lawless zone when you get to the deserts. That will allow people to explore and populate the world. However, they need to test the system of the open seas, because remember, there are certain areas in Vera on the seas that is just an all-out open PvP fight. And there's a good representation of it. I'll put it up on the screen, of someone highlighting, the map and the lawless or the PvP area, right? So everything in red is PvP area. So that was kind of a cool little systems update that we haven't heard before. Now we get into the economy and the systems, right? We're going to have all of our mounts that we think we, would normally have: flying, ground, water. Caravans, we're going to have all of that management. Rafts, the mail system, player trading. We're getting up to level 25 artisan profession. So that takes us from novice through apprentice all the way up to journeyman. So all you crafters out there, you're getting 3 levels. 15 unique gathering tools, which is all of the gathering tools. I want to highlight that. All of the gathering tools will be ready to go in phase 1. 33 plus unique gatherables. Hunting, fishing, and surveying, which are 3 things that are very interesting to me as a player that we have never seen before. We've never seen surveying, we've never seen fishing, and hunting with 38 unique animals. They did say that hunting is going to be maybe towards the end of phase 1 of Alpha 2, so I expect maybe surveying and fishing might be in on that as well. So we're looking at 6 weeks from launch to maybe get those. Again, my speculation on the matter, but again, I could be wrong. Processing, we're getting 400 recipes. Crafting, we're getting 600 recipes. We're getting gear enchantments, party and raid markers. Obviously, all the chat types, your guild, your party, citizen, global, item deconstruction and repair, and 45 caravan components for our PvP in the caravans. Now, content. What are we getting in phase 1 for content? Well, like I said, we're getting 460 plus unique pieces of gear, which is insane. Node War God Spike events. So we saw that in a live stream where, Steven took on Margaret's team. The Myriad-Lithians versus the Winstead group, I think. PvP Node War type event. We're going to have 16 unique public events, which we've never heard about what those are. Those like Monster Coin events, or they like open world type events? What's going to go on there? We don't know. 149 story-driven quests slash commissions. So I'm going to say that we're getting 150 total, not 150 quests and 150 commissions. Seems a little bit low depending on, if you go back 24 mayoral commission types, 25 player commodities. So 25, 24, does that come into this 150? Because if you include the 24 mayoral commissions, then you subtract that from the 150, so now you're at 125 quests and commissions. And then let's say there's another 25, so that leaves only 100 quests, right, possible in this timeline, if we're breaking it down correctly. So it does seem a little bit low in my opinion, but again, we have to get in there, we have to see, right? These could just be the quests and the commodities commissions that they've done and iterated on and just need a final pass, and then we're going to get into the rest of the meat and potatoes kind of thing in a different phase. We're also getting 111 treasure maps, which are interesting because we've not heard anything about treasure maps. There's some information on the wiki where it could be surveying or scribing type activities to get these maps or to understand these maps. So that will be interesting. We're going to get 3 world bosses, so we know 2 of them already. We know Tumak, the giant Cyclops, is one of them, and then the Fire Drake was confirmed by Steven in a previous live stream to be one. My speculation is we are going to get the Scorpion or the Ancients boss, that digging one. I'm thinking of the other smaller guy that they said was like a general during the cataclysmic event and during all of the wars that ensued on Vera by the Ancients. I think we're gonna get that smaller dude that also looks like a scorpion kind of dinosaur thing. I'll put him up on the screen as well as my speculation for our 3rd world boss. We're getting 75 unique creatures, enemy creatures, and 280 abilities and behaviors for those 75. So again, that's a lot, I think, at the start here. I fully feel like 75 unique enemies with all these abilities are going to be at the start of Alpha 2. That's something I do not see them adding into the next major content update. We've gotten through all the details, right? So our time frame, right? We got 9 weeks total. I think I said 7 weeks. I was a little bit off. 9 weeks total is phase 1 of Alpha 2. So again, we're guaranteed a 6-week major content ad and at least 3 minor content ads. So again, I think Empyreans, the hunting, surveying, fishing, and I would think maybe the public events might be part of that 6-week major content update. It's hard to tell where the rest of everything kind of falls without being in-game and testing, but a lot of the other things we've seen already, so I think those coming on 3-week cadences make sense to me, and then a big major update. So again, this is only going to be on the weekends, phase 1, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Phase 1 is only 3 days up with the rest of the days down to provide feedback and things of that nature, and Intrepid to iterate on feedback and things like that. I think this phase 1 really does hit home on some of the expectations that we had for Alpha 2. Again, this not being a persistent Alpha 2 to start with is a little bit tricky. There were a lot of things that we knew were going to be in Alpha 2 that we kind of, hit right on the head as far as weapons, archetypes, the biome number, right? We said 3 biomes. But then there are some things that are a little bit of a miss for me, right? We only have 3 races. They're not all modeled. 2 to start with only. 1 coming in a major patch, which is okay, right? Maybe staggering this is better off for a testing perspective, because at the end of the day, folks, Alpha 2 is a testing realm. It is not an early access game. It is not a game. It is truly testing of the game prior to any of those things, right? Prior to, and hopefully, and we've covered this in another video, hopefully we don't get a quote-unquote early access Ashes of Creation. I think that would be absolutely detrimental to the game and to the genre if we started doing that with early access. But again, I want to reiterate to everyone, this is a true testing phase, right? It's testing. It's going to be buggy. It's not going to be optimized. It's not going to be a fully finished game, because I think there is a lot of misconception out there within the community and people coming new to the project or coming from content creators, even major content creators, I think have a miss or a lack of understanding of the project, because they check in every now and then, right? They check in during major updates, major things, buzzworthy things, and then go about the rest of the day and not caring about the project, right? So there has been a lot of I'm not going to say misinformation, but misunderstanding of things out, I think, in the community. So please, guys, again, remember, it's Alpha 2, it's testing. As always, guys, I want to appreciate you for being here, for watching the video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. That really helps the channel out, guys. And stay tuned, because this is part 1 of 3. We're going to deep dive all 3 phases. So the next phase that we have coming, guys, is phase 2, which is starting December 20th, 2024. So, as always, we'll see you on the next one.